Morning. Good morning. Are we on? Okay. Good morning. Today it's Tuesday, May 19th, 2026. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Lewis and Clark County Commission. Will you please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. I'll take a minute to introduce those of us on this end of the room. Over to my far left is Jenny Chambers. Jenny is the Director of Public Works and Planning. Next is Brandy Grandy, who is our recording secretary, keeps track of all of our proceedings and makes sure they become available for the public to take a look online and see all that we've done. Commissioner Andy Henthausen and Commissioner Candace Payne. I'm Commissioner Tom Rolfe, Chair of the Commission this year. And to the far right is Roger Baltz, our Chief Administrative Officer. We have on the other side of the bar, there's a place for everyone to sign and let us know give us some contact information should we need to get a hold of you later on. And there's an agenda right there by the sign-in sheet as well. We ask you to do that. If we have a fairly large agenda today, I think it'll be enjoyable and a lot of good information about how our county government operates. We're going to start off with a special proclamation, and I'm going to ask Pam Matardo to come up and read the proclamation for Historic Preservation Month.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. My name is Pam Matardo, and I am the Heritage Preservation Officer for the City and County. And this is Heritage Preservation Month, and so I'm going to go ahead and read this proclamation. Whereas the United States marks the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, this year's theme recognizes places that bring its most powerful promise to life, that all people are created equal, and to the preservationists making sure that these places endure. Whereas the National Trust for Historic Preservation is celebrating the historic sites, neighborhoods, and landmarks that tell the full American story, places that remind us of how far we have come and how far we still have to go. Whereas historic sites tell Americans who we are, places that continue to shape our 250-year journey to becoming a more perfect union. Whereas National Historic Preservation Month is celebrated with a variety of activities across Montana, and the nation will be celebrated in Helena and Lewis and Clark County, Montana in May 2026. Whereas the Helena, Lewis and Clark County Heritage Preservation and Tourism Development Council, otherwise known as the HTC, a 7-member volunteer advisory committee consisting of city and county appointees, has initiated 2 online surveys, 35 actions for 35 historic places, to learn more about the public's understanding of historic preservation in the city and county as part of their public outreach. Whereas survey respondents have identified places that they miss, historic places that spark joy, inspire wonder, and connect communities to our shared history. These are places they would hate to see Helena and Lewis and Clark County be without, and therefore should be protected. Whereas a new online interactive map has been developed that identifies Helena's 9 historic districts, plus properties that contribute to the districts, plus 37 individually listed properties on the National Register of Historic Places, including 3 cemeteries. Whereas Lewis and Clark County currently has 4 historic districts, including 2 ranches, 23 individual listings, and also include 2 cemeteries and 5 bridges. Whereas the public is invited to attend the unveiling of a new historic sign for the Lewis and Clark County Hospital Cemetery at noon, Wednesday, May 20th, 2026. Now, therefore, we proclaim May 2026 is hereby declared to be Historic Preservation Month, and all citizens are invited to join in recognizing Helena's and Lewis and Clark County's wealth of historic districts, structures, and places.
Thank you very much. Well, this is a, a great time for us to think about the history of our nation and the history of our state and county, and we really appreciate the work of your group. We'd like to get a in a minute here, well, a picture of you and any of your board members that are with you,
Sure,
to,
Michael
and if,
Hall.
and have you come up. I just before we do that, I'd just like to see if anybody would like to, the commissioners would like to make a comment.
Mr. Chair, thank you.
Yeah.
Ms. Tardo, you brushed over it here in the proclamation. Everything can't be said, of course, in a short piece of paper like this, but just a little bit more about what's happening this month, and then the opportunity on Wednesday. Is it? No, tomorrow.
Yes.
Tomorrow. It's
Tomorrow,
right, yeah.
yes, tomorrow there will be an unveiling of a new historic preservation sign for what sometimes known colloquially as the Poor Farm. It's the Lewis and Clark County Hospital Cemetery. This was a place where indigent people, before you had Social Security or any other, safety nets like that in the U.S., people who had no family, no one to care for them, were able to go to this farm. Initially, they were planting, growing their own vegetables and stuff and things like that. And so this is a place where many people passed away. There's almost 400 people buried in the cemetery. They are unmarked graves. We have names of most of the people, we hope, but we always, there've been, since I'm in my tenure here, we've figured out a few new people who weren't, were of record. So, that unveiling will be at noon tomorrow. It will be on the corner of Flagstone and North Benton. It's among the new subdivisions, and there's some open space behind it to the, let me think about the east. So we hope to see folks there. It would be nice to have a recognition of the people who are there.
Great. And then, Mr. Chair, if one more thing, just since we have you here.
Yes.
Doing some great work. Maybe just to touch on some of the projects that are going on now in your office, but also in our community, the Lewis and Clark Historical Preservation Group and the Heritage Group have a wonderful site on Helena Avenue.
Yes.
And I've poked my head in there, and it's amazing the work that's been done. So I don't know if that many people know about it. So maybe just a couple of words about each one of those, since we're...
Yes, so the Lewis and Clark County Historical Society, which has been in existence since 1989, same year that we were formed, they have an exhibit there on drawings and the history of the area. Dennis McCann's prints are being exhibited there this month. They're located on Helena Avenue in the old Steamboat Block. And so I think their hours are on Saturdays. And then as far as our group, we are preparing to transfer the Unionville School to the Unionville Community Collaborative, excuse me, and that will be happening soon, we hope. And this is something that I've been working on since I started here in 2012 with Wally Jester, and I started it up, and we got a number of grants, and we are ready to let it launch to the community. Lincoln Cemetery is looking great. I just got an email from the folks yesterday. They had a cleanup this past weekend and took down a big tree that was listing and kind of had partially uprooted right next to those great historic grave fences that we had repaired over the past few years. And so they removed that, sent me some great photographs. Just good to see this all happening.
That's great. I think we'll get a chance to hear from them on the first Friday of June when we're up there.
So. That's what I'm hoping. Yes, they had some great photographs. So,
great. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Anything else?
Just one comment, Pam. I've been kind of wondering what has become of the Unionville School celebration. I have committed some of my musician friends to playing for some sort of a festivity of opening, and I still haven't made a date because I didn't know when. We have to wait till it actually changes possession from being a county property to being a historic part of your realm. So
Yes,
let me know and
I will.
put that on the calendar.
I mean, I think shortly after it transfers, I'll probably hear from Anna about them. I know that they've been itching to have a celebration, and
Yes,
you were included in that musically. Yes,
it's a great project.
thank you.
All right. And if you'd like to introduce any members of your board that are here too.
Sure, I have Michael Hall here. He's from the city of Helena. We had some folks last night at the city meeting, city commission meeting. But today we have Michael.
All right. Wonderful. Well, Michael, and why don't you join us up front here and we'll get a picture and I'll give you the official copy. All right, on to our consent action items. Mr. Balls.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. Next is item 3A on the agenda. It's a letter of support for engineering study regarding speed on State Secondary Highway 434 near Wolf Creek. Staff recommends approval of that item. Thank you very much.
Are there any questions for Mr. Balls? Any questions about this item? Seeing none, is there any public comment? Come on up. This is public comment on this particular item. Great. All right. Population has, back then it was very rural, and I don't think anybody cared what the speed limit was. Population has increased at least quadruple just on the portion of 434 where this is talked about. And more importantly is that like little Wolf Creek Road, that community has blown up, and all those people are driving back and forth every day. There's 7-hour guest ranch up there that's full all summer with fishing, plus all the guides and campers going up and down. People, my family neighbors are riding side by side 4-wheelers. My parents are in their 80s and they're still crossing over the highway, going back and forth to do property management and stuff. 70 is excessive. It's a very narrow road. It has a lot of brush around it. It's brick bottom. There's a lot of deer, elk, other animals. There's a dozen, just in this stretch of road, there's a dozen car versus deer crashes every year. And I know that there's been 3 or 4 wrecks at the end of 434 that went to the Wolf that blown through the stop sign and smashed that up through the interstate fencing. There was a motorcycle fatality just above this a few years ago, where a guy crashed his motorcycle coming down the hill, Wolf Creek resident. It's dangerous, and I don't see. I think common sense, I think, would dictate that it drops to 55 there. You have a slowing zone come through the residential area into Wolf Creek. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Is there any other public comment? There we go.
Thank you. Oh,
There we
that's
go.
much different. My name's Lee Thompson, and my family lives on 434 in Wolf Creek. Currently, the speed limit is 70, and many cars drive 5 or 10 miles faster than the posted speed limit. We have cars, trucks, and semis hauling cows, flying past our house where our 3 small children play. That stretch of 434 has many residential homes, all right on the highway. This area of the highway goes along the creek, and so, as you can imagine, both sides of the road are thick with cottonwood and willow trees. Every morning and evening, deer, turkeys, and other wildlife cross the road. I've watched countless deer get hit by cars on the road. Drivers who aren't familiar with the area don't expect the amount of wildlife that we have, and those of us that do drive much slower than the posted speed limit, which is a recipe for disaster, with other vehicles often driving 20 miles an hour faster than most of the local residents in Wolf Creek. The road abruptly ends when you get into town. Every year there's at least one accident at the end of that road when a driver, usually in the winter, doesn't expect the stop sign and can't stop in time. I've watched the fence along the highway separating Main Street from I-15 be rebuilt and repaired countless times in the 16 years I've lived here because cars blew through that stop sign. Most drivers don't expect a stop sign when they're on a highway with a 70-mile-an-hour speed limit. There's no flashing light or rumble strip. There is a stop ahead sign, but it's so close to the stop sign that if you miss it, you're going to blow right through it. We have a lot of tourists who come through the town to recreate, and they just aren't familiar with the curves in the road or the abrupt stop coming into town. Those of us who live on the highway have to slow way down to turn into our driveways. I have to make a left-hand turn off the highway to get into my house. I've been passed numerous times by drivers who speed by me while I'm slowing down to turn, even when I have my turn signal on. I've had to come to a complete stop on the highway during one such incident because a car was racing past me on the oncoming side, passing me when I needed to turn left into my driveway. People see a 70-mile-an-hour sign and they kind of lose common sense. There's quite a few of us that live on the highway who use it to walk to town. One young man I can think of, Brandon, goes to work at the gas station by walking on the highway. There's several old ladies who walk for exercise on 434, and I myself go jogging on the highway because there's nowhere else to run in Wolf Creek, and it's where I live. Some cars slow down and move over, but not all of them do, as the road is very narrow. I always run into traffic and prepare to jump out of the way because cars are driving so fast. Jimmy, our neighbor across the road, goes to the gas station first thing every morning for coffee. He drives well below the speed limit. He's elderly and practices an abundance of caution because of the deer. I see cars fly by him out my window while I cook breakfast, and I have prayed on multiple occasions for a safe passage getting to the Canyon store and back because it's a dangerous road. One more thing is our mail service only delivers on the western side of the highway. So residents on the eastern side have to cross the highway to get their mail. Many of them walk across the road to do this or have to slow down and pull off and do a pullout. Not to mention our postal lady who's having to pull off multiple times on that stretch to deliver mail to residents on 434. So like I mentioned before, I have 3 small children. They're all my blessings from God, and they're under the age of 5. We spend the majority of our days playing outside. My kids love to dig in the dirt, ride their bikes, and let their imaginations run wild while they race down our gravel road on some sunny summer days, our dogs following close behind. Their safety is worth the extra 2 minutes it might take people to get to town if the speed limit was lowered. Jimmy's safety getting his morning cup of coffee is worth the 2 extra minutes. Brandon, who's walking the highway to get to work at the gas station, is worth the time. And Casey, who delivers our mail, is worth the time. Every one of us who lives on the highway is worth that extra time. So thank you for your consideration on this.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Any other public comment? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I would move that we approve consent action item 3A, a letter of support for an engineering study regarding the speed on State Secondary Highway 434 near Wolf Creek.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Hunthausen.
I think just because we've had some public comment, just to explain our role in this process, and maybe it's already been explained some, but tell me if I get it wrong. Our Public Works Director is here, but essentially when concerned citizens, like we've heard today, show concern about speed on a state highway, before the state will do an engineering study about the speed, and if the speed's appropriate, they ask for a letter of support from the county. And so this is our process in this. We do not control the outcome, but typically when they receive a letter from us requesting a speed study, they will perform that study, usually, and then they have objective results from that. And so they have standards and criteria and all of these things. And the speed is set according to their criteria. And sometimes in a troublesome corridor, the speed does go down, but other times they deem it appropriate. So we do not control, is all I'm trying to say, we do not control the outcomes of that study. But we sure can ask them to do the study on behalf of the citizens that are concerned in the area. And they typically do, and then we'll see what the results are. So, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to explain that prior to our vote today. Thanks.
Commissioner Payne.
I just wanted to comment, don't hold your breath. We have had speed studies, we have requested speed studies on other state highways in our county that have impacted the people who we care about. And I know at one point we had a speed study come back and they raised the speed limit. I'm very disappointed in some of the things the Department of Transportation has done regarding the safety of our students. For example, out by the Warren School, we've got kids crossing the highway. It is a state highway. There is no crosswalk. There's no flashing lights, and it is a full-speed state highway. Also, things that come up before this study is finished, hopefully the potholes will get really bad out there, and that slows people down. Or Jenny won't let us put speed bumps in. That's too hard when they're trying to plow snow. So we don't have that option. And so we've got potholes to slow people down. We also have, if it goes back to a dirt road, it will start having what they're called washboards, and that slows people down a little bit. So it might be just as well if you didn't push on having that road repaired, because when it's in disrepair, people are forced to slow down no matter what the Department of Transportation does or doesn't do. Thank you.
All right. Any further discussion from the commission? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of the letter of support for engineering study regarding speed on the state secondary highway 434 near Wolf Creek, as explained, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. And I'm gonna sign it. I'm gonna pass it, and then I'll pass it on to the other commissioners to sign right now. We'll get it off to them.
Thanks for coming in.
All right. Well, the other commissioners are signing. We'll go on to the regular action items. Our first action item is a grant award to Lewis and Clark County for the Montana Department from the Montana Department of Commerce. And McCauley, in just a moment, they're all three of us have signed this. We're going to send it into the department. Go ahead, Ann.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Ann McCauley, Director of Grants and Procurement. Before you today is a grant award from the Montana Department of Commerce's Community Development Block Grant Planning Program. This award is for the planning phase of the Public Safety and Emergency Operations Center for Lincoln. As you might recall from a month ago, we did a contract with an architect to produce a preliminary architectural report for this part of the planning phase. And there will also be a CDBG public facilities application that gets produced from this planning phase. This is a partnership with the Lincoln Fire and Rescue, Lincoln Volunteer Ambulance Service, and our Lewis and Clark Sheriff's Office to plan for a facility that could house all of those facilities in the same place to improve coordination, response times, training opportunities, and so forth with respect to response in the Lincoln community for public safety. The CDBG grant award is $50,000. It does have a 25% match requirement of $12,500. Each of those partner groups that I just listed have committed $4,167 each to that match requirement. The grant's period of performance is December 18, 2025 through December 31, 2026. We anticipate this project to be wrapped up by the end of August or early September. Grant or staff recommendation is to approve, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Ann? Any questions from the commission? Seeing none, do we have any public comment on this? Any public comment? I see no public comment. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, excuse me, I move that we approve the grant award to Lewis and Clark County from the Montana Department of Commerce as explained by Ann McCauley.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Huntow.
I'd just like to thank Director McCauley for your support and help. It's a number of groups hoping to make a difference up there, and so they really benefited from your guidance and support in getting this grant in and then getting this awarded. So thank you very much. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
All right. Any other discussion?
Just
Commissioner Payne.
comment that as all of our communities, Lincoln has grown. They have more need for the fire and rescue people and the volunteer ambulance service and even the sheriff's office people up there. It's really hard if you are say a tourist and you're traveling through the area. I don't know how anybody would find the sheriff's office in Lincoln. It is hidden. I think this is an excellent project. The building that the fire and rescue service is now using, we had a meeting up there in that building last fall, and the birds were flying in through the holes in the walls. It's not appropriate. We can do better. I really hope we can get this project moving in the right direction. That's all.
All right. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? We have we had a motion and a second. Is there any, or rather, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of approving the grant award to Lewis and Clark County from Montana Department of Commerce, as explained by Ann McCauley, say aye.
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 Aye. Pose same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Next item is a bid opening for the 2026 chip seal project. Dan Karlin.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. For the record, I'm Dan Karlin, County Engineer. Today we have a bid opening for the 2026 chip seal project. Chip sealing is one of our more robust surface preservation activities that we do for our paved roads. So this is we do these on rotation through most of our hard surface roads. It's typically 7 to 10 year window or gap between chip seal surfacings. We do evaluate each particular road annually to see if it's due, if it's needed, or if we can push it for a year to help with budgeting. So, Randy, that one's. All right. So for this process, I will open the bids. I believe we have 4 bids for this. They're all sealed. This first one is from Montana Materials and Construction. They've included their bid security. Their bid form appears to be complete. And the bid is signed. So this particular bid was a base bid plus an additive alternate. So their base bid price is $707,690, 0 cents. And their additive alternate is $17,965.50. Oh, shoot. The second bid I have is from Bullock Contracting LLC of Boulder, Montana. They've included a bid security. Bid form appears to be complete. And it is signed. Their base bid is $762,037.10. And the additive alternate is $14,372.40. This third bid is from Pavement Maintenance Services. That's for the next one. On occasion, these are mailed in, and contractors want to be extra certain that that our bid isn't open or their bid is not open prior to the time and place. So the outer envelope, we caution ourselves not to open those prior if there's a question. So they sent two, and the outside of the envelope wasn't labeled as to which one it was. So, all right. The bid form appears to be complete. The bid is signed. And they have included a bid security. The base bid is for an amount of $940,818.76. And the additive alternate is $18,016.83. This fourth bid is from American Road Maintenance of Tucson, Arizona. The bid form appears to be complete. Bid is signed. And they have included a bid security. This bid is for $891,354.72. Their additive alternate is $16,836.24. And that is our bids for the 2026 chip seal project. Staff would like to take these under advisement and come back on June 2nd to make a recommendation for award.
Are there any questions from the commission? And just to reiterate what Dan has said, these bids all come in, they're sealed, they're not opened until this morning. And in order to make it a fair bid competition, then we do send the bids to the staff to analyze them, make sure everything is as we need it. Is there any, if there's no further question from the commission, Commissioner
Have a
Payne?
commission, Dan, just purposes of general information. This particular bid is for the 2026 chip seal project, and the following one is for the 2026 scrub seal project. What is the difference between the chip seal and the scrub seal for those of us who are less than knowledgeable on this matter?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Payne, I do have a diagram that we could probably put up right now. I was going to address that on the next bid item or the next agenda item, but
It'll wait. That's
Okay.
fine.
it's up to you.
All right. Okay. All right. Any further questions for about the bid? Is there any public comment? Any public comment? Seeing no public comment, do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I would move that we ask staff to take the 2026 chip seal project bids under advisement, make a recommendation to this commission in our regular scheduled meeting on June 2nd.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to send the 4 bids to staff for analysis, come back with a recommendation on June 2nd. Is there any further any discussion from the commission? Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of taking these 4 bids for the chip seal project, having the staff analyze them, and then bring back a recommendation on June 2nd, please say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Okay, now we have the scrub seal project.
All right.
And would you like to explain the difference?
Absolutely. Mr. Chair, Commissioners, for the record again, Dan Karlin, County Engineer. So we did just discuss the chip seal bids. A chip seal is where we apply an emulsified asphalt to the surface of the road and then follow it very closely with what's called a chip spreader that applies. We use 3/8 inch very clean rock chips, very hard, very durable. And then those are rolled in with pneumatic tired rollers, those rubber tired rollers, just like you would have on a truck. That pushes those rocks down into that emulsified asphalt. And it's called braking, when the water from that emulsion comes out of it, it leaves the asphalt and the rocks combined to create a hard surface, hard durable surface. The benefit of that emulsified asphalt is it seeps into the cracks. That's providing the seal that we talk about with the seal portion of that. The chip is that wearing surface that provides a friction surface. It's very important here in Montana where we have variable weather, and it's good for our traction for our vehicles. A scrub seal, on the other hand, is a very similar process, but we drag a broom that's on wheels. It's on that diagram behind you. So that's got varying degree, varying angled brooms on that are pushing the oil down into the other cracks. Typically, when we do a chip seal, we go and do a crack seal ahead of that. That process is going to happen in June for the roads that we're going to chip seal. There are limitations to the width of the crack you can do crack seal to. Chip seal is just fine over top of crack seals. That's what we've been doing for a very, very long time, 30, 40, 50 years in this county. The scrub seal is a process we're taking on this year. This is the first time we're doing it in the county. What those brooms do is they push the oil down into cracks that are a ½ inch or smaller in width. What that allows us to do is eliminate the chip or the crack seal process prior to doing this, and that saves us some money in the long run. It also it's a time saver as well. So that's what we're going to try to do here this year. We're pretty excited about it. It's a good process. The contractors have gotten used to it. The state's been using it. So encourage you to come out and watch when we go ahead and do this process this year. So with that, we are doing scrub seal this year. On a number of roads. We initially wanted to do a little pilot, but we, in our evaluations that I mentioned, we found several candidates that were really ideal for this process. So this is the roads we intend to do this year. As you can see, some of those are in RIDs, some of those are county. So a good variety here. And with that, I think I can start opening bids. All right. This first bid I have is from Pavement Maintenance Services from Summers, Montana. Their bid form appears to be complete. The bid is signed. And they've included a bid security. This one is only a base bid. And they have submitted a bid of $791,146.55. The second bid I have here is from Montana Materials and Construction of Helena, Montana. They've included a bid security. Bid form appears to be complete. And the bid is signed. They've submitted a bid of $652,169. Or sorry, $652,169. I'll repeat that one more time. $652,169. Final bid I have here is from American Road Maintenance of Tucson, Arizona. Bid form appears to be complete. The bid is signed, and they've included a bid security. Their bid is for $706,509.50. Staff would like to take these bids under advisement as well and bring them back on June 2nd for a recommendation for award.
All right. Any questions for Dan about these bids? Any questions from the commission? Any questions from the commission? Seeing none, is there any public comment on the second bid? Series of bids. Any public comment? I see no public comment. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that we ask the staff to take these bids under advisement, do an analysis, and then bring a recommendation back to the commission on June 2nd.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for these three bids to be sent to staff for analysis and for the staff to bring us a recommendation for a final award on June 2nd. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of taking the three bids for the 2026 scrub seal project to staff and then have them make a recommendation on a final decision on which bid to accept on June 2nd. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda is the Montana Department of Transportation Better Local Bridges Grant Funds application. Dan.
Good morning again, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. For the record, Dan Karlin, County Engineer. Before you today is a request to submit to the Montana Department of Transportation, or MDT, an application for Better Local Bridges Grant Funds. The program has approximately $3 million available on a first-come, first-served basis. This grant application is to provide funding for the Birdtail Road over Flat Creek Bridge project for an amount up to $1 million. There would be a 20% local match if awarded. Hard match would be budgeted in the bridge infrastructure budget. We do have an application into the Montana Coal Endowment Program. That's for a grant of $750,000. So our actual request under this program would be for, I had it in front of me here, $608,640. And our local match on that would be $152,162. So in combination, we'd be able to get our slightly over $1.5 million project for about 10% of that cost. So we're pretty excited about this opportunity, and I can answer questions you may have.
Any questions from the commission? Any questions from the commission? So again, we have two grants that we're applying for, this being about half of the cost here. This one requires the local participation in the amount of about 1/5 of the bill.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner, so should have clarified this. The MSEP, the Montana Coal Endowment Program grant for $750,000 requires a 50% match. So if we only got that grant application, we'd have to pay that $750,000 for that grant match. This grant allows us to cover that match with this grant, but it also requires a 20% match. So it reduces our total required match for the project down to $152,000 instead of about $760,000.
So just state it again, what are our anticipated total costs for that bridge?
Our anticipated total cost for the bridge is $1,510,000.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Henhouse.
Mr. Karlin, thank you. Great deal. This is an excellent opportunity and a huge win if we get it. Just back to the beginning, there might be some people watching today that when we say the Birdtail Bridge project, they don't know what we're talking about. So just 30 seconds on what the heck, why we're going after this and what the Birdtail Bridge project is.
Absolutely, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Hunthausen. So the Birdtail Bridge is on Birdtail Road near, it's kind of between Augusta and Wolf Creek. It serves a lot of ranch ground, a lot of public ground. There's a lot of recreational ground back there as well. That bridge was built in 1902. It is now a 5-ton weight limit. We've had a little bit of a history of overweight vehicles crossing it, so it's been, the approaches have been modified to eliminate the ability for those overweight vehicles to cross it. We've got a temporary structure in place for those overweight vehicles to serve the local community up there through an agreement with the local landowner up there. The sooner we can get this bridge replaced, though, the sooner we can get the main road open and restore normal access to that area.
So it's a must, basically a must fix. So thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
After going up there and driving the roads from Flat Creek up over to Cascade and then also back over to Sun River area, I'm amazed at how tough a road that travel is for folks that get stuck on the other side of this bridge. Maybe a 40-mile detour in if the road conditions are good, and it doesn't take but a little bit of rain or snow to close the road down. So this is very needed. It's hard to imagine a bridge that has lasted since 1902, when everything going across that bridge was hauled by an ox or a horse. And I think we got our monies up. The county got some of their money worth out of that bridge, but time to do something different. And I also like to take the time to just congratulate the public works staff, you and all the folks that worked on this for getting that temporary bridge in place to help our landowners on the other side of that bridge to survive until we can get the bridge done. And thanks for looking out for these good opportunities to get some help from the state. So real positive in my mind. Any other discussion? Any public comment on this item? Any public comment? Seeing none, we'll move to is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the application of the Montana Department of Transportation Better Local Bridges Grant Funds Program as presented by Mr. Karlin.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion from the commission? Any discussion from the commission? We'll move to a vote. All those in favor of this application to the Montana Department of Transportation Better Local Bridges Grant Funds Program, as explained by Mr. Karlin. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Our next item on the agenda is a contract between Lewis and Clark Public Health and Ann Truesdale.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the Commission. I'm Sarah Sandow, the Grant Specialist at Lewis and Clark Public Health. Today, I have before you for your consideration a contract with Ann Truesdale, LCSW, Therapy and Consulting, in the amount of $6,000 to facilitate a substance misuse therapy group for the Strong Roots Coalition partner organization clients, with a period of performance from May 7th, 2026 through June 30th, 2026. The Strong Roots Coalition is a substance misuse prevention coalition in Lewis and Clark County that is facilitated by Lewis and Clark Public Health. More information on the coalition with our goals, what we're focusing on, including the Coordinating Hope Summit, which is one of the items that we've brought to Commission recently, can be found on the website. This consultant will run a 7-week substance misuse therapy group that will be offered for free for clients of the Strong Roots Coalition agencies. Agencies who participate in the coalition all work in the substance misuse field in some realm. The therapy module used will be the eye movement desensitization reprocessing, also known as EMDR, and it's an evidence-based psychotherapy designed to help individuals process and heal from traumatic or distressing experiences. The group will be held May through June 2026. This group will consist of an introduction to the EMDR, grounding techniques, and processing traumatic experiences with creative expression. EMDR can help ease the intensity of traumatic memories. This contract is being funded through our Health Resources Services Administration grant, and it went through the contract cover sheet process. Staff recommends approval, and I'm here for questions.
Are there any questions from the commission? Any questions from the commission? This is a very limited time project. Can you explain a little bit more about what's going to be done and how it can be accomplished in a short period of time?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. The goal was to try out some sort of new group therapy. Often therapy or EMDR, specifically this model, can be very expensive, especially if you don't have the right insurance that can help cover it. So the idea was to test it with specifically substance misuse in mind for clients to say, in a group setting, to build community, to learn this new model, how can we learn together and see the impacts? And of course, if this is something that's wildly successful and we found that we're seeing really good results and feedback, then maybe we could look at this funding opportunity to make it longer term. But the goal was to start small and see how could it work for a specific group working weekly in 7 weeks? What is the impacts?
All right.
Thank you.
Any questions from the commission? And if not, let's see if there's any public comment. Do we have any public comment on this item? Any public comment? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the contract between Lewis and Clark Public Health and Ann Truesdell as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the contract between Lewis and Clark Public Health and Ann Truesdell LCSW Therapy and Consulting PLLC, as explained by Sarah Sandow. Any discussion on that?
Mr. Chair, just
go ahead.
Hope that it's successful. I'm looking forward to the results and kind of an experimental process here, but I think, yeah, the indicators are that this is a good way to go and good way to use the grant money. It was indicated for something like this. So that's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Yes, I think it's great looking for new ideas, new ways to help people solve these problems. Wonderful. Any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of approving the contract between Lewis and Clark Public Health and Ann Truesdell LCSW Therapy and Consulting PLLC, as explained by Sarah Sandow, please say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Next is a contract between Lewis and Clark Public Health and Skipping Rock Strategies, LLC.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the commission. I'm Sarah Sandow, the grant specialist at Lewis and Clark Public Health. Today, I have before you for your consideration a contract with Skipping Rock Strategies, LLC, in the amount of $7,000 to facilitate the Coordinating Hope Summit and conduct patient mapping. The work will begin once signed and is finalized and invoiced by August 14th, 2026. The purpose of this project is to strengthen substance use care coordination across Lewis and Clark County by developing a shared patient journey map and by facilitating a structured summit that results in actionable system improvements and measurable outcomes. So to dive deeper into both of those projects to say what those mean. So the Strong Roots Coalition Summit Preparation Facilitation, we've brought some of those speakers to this commission before. The Coordinating Hope Summit will be facilitated by the Strong Roots Coalition, and it's in its second year. The goal of this event is to bring together professionals working in behavioral health to learn, collaborate, and build connections. The summit is scheduled for June 17th, 2026 at Helena College. The consultant will help with planning and facilitating this summit. And the second part of this project will be patient mapping. So the goal is, in fancy terms of a patient map, is where does someone enter a behavioral health system and how do they make their way through it to be able to get their treatment? So if a person comes in to the ER and needing services, how can this person find the services that they need? Or maybe they have a different entry point. So where are the entry points that someone receives services? And how can we make sure that they get their care? So this is a fancy way to say, how can we make sure that people are getting the right level of care at the time that they need it, and being able to graph that out and notice the different levels of entry and processes it might take. This will help where care is provided, how referrals are made to other resources, and other key barriers to accessing care. Staff recommends approval, and I'm here for questions.
Any questions from the commission? Any questions from the commission? Does this dovetail with the other project that we just approved?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. It's how can we help people experiencing either substance misuse or behavioral health access correct treatment and referrals. And so we might find that a group therapy, like the beginning option, might be one area of entry. So exactly, they dovetail nicely together.
Well, these are serious problems that we face in our community, and it's important that we keep looking for new strategies to help people.
Exactly. Thank you.
So I think that's a good idea. So if there's no further question from the commission, then we'll ask for public comment. Is there any public comment on this contract between Lewis and Clark Public Health and Skipping Rock Strategies, LLC? Any public comment? I see none. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the contract between Lewis and Clark Public Health and Skipping Rock Strategies, LLC, as presented by Sarah Sandow.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Hunthausen.
Again, looking forward to this with anticipation. One of the most consistent feedbacks I've heard throughout my career is the challenge in navigating our behavioral health system. Yeah. And when people are in crisis or in need, finding a way in and a way to navigate the system. So I'll be looking forward to seeing how this works, and hopefully it become a kind of a staple for us to use for future needs in the community. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Any other comments? All right. Seeing no further discussion, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of contract between Lewis and Clark Public Health and Skipping Rock Strategies, LLC, please say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Our final agenda on the item on the action items may take a few minutes. Does anybody need to take a little bit of a break? We've been at it for about an hour, so let's take about a 5-minute break and be back here about 8 minutes after the department director updates. And I really think this is a great opportunity for us to have our very able directors of different departments showcase what's going on to the general public. The opportunity to be there for people to get online and hear this. And so I always look forward to the opportunity to share that with folks. Just going to start. We'll start with Criminal Justice Services being the first on the list. And Kelly McBride, would you come and talk to us a little bit about your department?
Good morning, Chair, Commissioners. So over the past quarter, Criminal Justice Services has continued to make for the record, my name is Kelly McBride. I'm the Director of your Department of Criminal Justice Services. And now I'll start. So over the past quarter, Criminal Justice Services has continued to make significant progress in strengthening data infrastructure, advancing evidence-based practices, supporting behavioral health programming within the detention center, and enhancing collaboration across the criminal justice system. One of the most significant accomplishments this quarter was Lewis and Clark County being selected as one of only 8 sites nationwide to participate in the Advancing Pretrial Policy and Research, or APPR, Pathways Technical Assistance Initiative. The Citizens Advisory Committee is leading this effort and will continue to focus over the next year on reviewing and improving local processes all the way from call for service through adjudication. The APPR site visit in March included strong participation from judges, law enforcement, attorneys, detention staff, and community partners. The department also continued making substantial investments in data modernization and transparency under the leadership of Dr. Emily Bueller and with the addition of data coordinator Lindsay Weisner. CGS expanded public-facing dashboards related to detention center population trends, behavioral health programming, pretrial outcomes, and caseload trends. Work also continues on Tableau implementation to allow community members to interact directly with data on our web pages, historical jail data analysis, and development of a comprehensive criminal justice services data inventory. The department now has expanded access to law enforcement data systems, allowing for stronger cross-system analysis and reporting. Court services and diversion maintained stable operations throughout the quarter and is now fully staffed. The pretrial services program continued all court coverage and supervision responsibilities while also advancing National Association of Pretrial Service Agencies, or NAPSA, accreditation efforts. Lewis and Clark County's pretrial services program will also be recognized at the National NAPSA conference this August, with Judge Piskalich and Judge Peterson attending alongside CGS staff. The Bond Review Roundtable continues to support collaborative review of individuals held on unaffordable bonds while encouraging individualized release planning where appropriate. Behavioral health services continued to provide critical services within the detention center despite staffing transitions during the quarter. Staff maintained strong service delivery in counseling, addiction treatment coordination, discharge planning, housing navigation, and reentry support. Through the HEART grant and other funding partnerships, the department delivered hundreds of behavioral health interventions and continued coordination of medical assisted treatment services for individuals in custody. The department also continued work related to opioid response efforts, including collaboration with the Sheriff's Office on the Montana Opioid Abatement Trust funding application and continued naloxone distribution throughout the community. Additional work this quarter included the fiscal year 27 budget development, advancement of the CJCC strategic planning process, development of the communications and community engagement services, continued grant exploration, and planning for Bright Horizons, or Camp Bright Horizons, a pilot program supporting children of incarcerated parents. Throughout the quarter, the department's work remained aligned with the board's goals and objectives through long-range planning, improved public communication and transparency, strong interagency collaboration, responsible stewardship of public resources, and continued focus on customer service and community well-being. Thank you for your continued support of criminal justice services and our justice system partners.
County really made an early commitment to criminal justice services when the voters supported the expansion, the remodel of the detention center. They also, at the same time, supported the idea of criminal justice services. And our county really became a leader nationwide in that effort. And I think that was confirmed by your selection by the national group to participate with those 8 other places around the state and around the country.
Yes, yes.
And I think it's really exciting to be the kind of on the cutting edge of that. Any comments or questions from the commission?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Henhouse.
Director McBride.
Yes.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So from that report, not much going on then in your department.
Chair, commissioners, we're just a little bored. No.
Yeah. You're super busy and it's great. I just wanted to point out a couple of things that I think have really made some strides. That the data, of course, and Emily and her work, and really appreciate she's doing and how she's pulling that together. And it's been a long time coming, but we're kind of over that hump and really really making strides there. So grateful for that. And then just the work of the CAC, I think, from a year ago when there was some like, what do we do now? What are we going to be doing? Do we have a significant role, to really seeming like they're very engaged right now and very much participating in this technical assistance that we're having through the,
Can I,
please.
so Chair, Commissioners, the members of the Citizens Advisory Committee are not just participating, they're leading.
Yeah.
They've divided up into 4 work groups. A staff person was assigned to each work group, but they are running it. There's the law enforcement and jail work group, a pretrial work group, a courts work group, and a prosecution work group. And I am lucky enough to be assigned as the staff to the law enforcement and jail work group. So there have been tours of the dispatch center, a very thorough tour of our detention center, and ride-alongs with Helena Police Department and Sheriff's Office. So that's just that group. The other group is they're shadowing staff, they're meeting with attorneys, they're meeting with judges, they're attending court, they're out there doing stuff. And I know one of my staff mentioned this last Friday was a regular CAC meeting, and they said, the staff said it was the most exciting CAC meeting they had been to, because everybody was just so excited to share and start talking about how we can look at our system and make it better. We're not there to tear it down. We're there to see what's going on, praise what is happening well, and then identify some gaps. So that's the Citizens Advisory Committee, and it is exciting to see them really engaged.
Yeah, thank you. Well said. And the last thing I'll just mention is the bond review team. That's really important, and I think again, due to your fostering that along, and just explain that a little bit, because it's really important. I mean, we've had in the past where there's been folks on occasion that are into the detention center and kind of fall between the cracks. It's like, well, I don't know who's responsible when this person's getting out, what their story is or whatever. So really reviewing that on a regular basis. And if there's someone that we can move along in the system, we're trying to do that rather than have them sit until some date down the road. So maybe explain that a little bit.
So the bond review roundtable consists of someone from the county attorney's office, jail staff, pretrial staff, public defenders. It is led by Judge Abbott and Judge Piskalich. They don't attend the meetings. They don't feel that would be appropriate, but they have given kind of the marching orders. So they've said this will happen. Bob Buzzy in our office coordinates this. And we also have Dr. Bueller, our data person, who brings in the list of all of the folks. Right now, 88% of the individuals in the detention center have been assigned a cash bond and pretrial services, meaning the reason they're there is they can't afford that cash bond. And does that cash really keep the community safe? And does that cash really ensure that folks are going to show up for court? So these folks get together and look at, why is Joe Jones in the jail on $1,000 cash bond? Could Joe Jones do well in the community? Would the community be safe? And would Joe Jones make it to all of his court appearances? And then as a group, they determine who those folks are, Joe Jones and anybody else. We want to make sure people aren't falling through the cracks. Our goal is community safety. So if there's someone in the detention center that really the community would not be safe with them out, we understand that. But for the most part, folks do well in the community. So that's what that bond review roundtable is. And our goal with that, the judge's goal with that, is to reduce the number of folks sitting in our jail, which is about $125 a person for those folks. To the county taxpayer, $125 a day.
Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
All right. Anything else? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the list is the Health Department. Brenda.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. My name is Drenda Neiman. I'm the Health Officer, Department Director at Lewis and Clark Public Health. Today, I'd like to share with you some really hard work that's happened over the last several months and has culminated in our 3-year strategic plan, which you have in front of you. I'm just going to give you a couple of highlights, starting with the last page, actually. The last page represents work that we started with. This is what we call our balanced scorecard. And the key performance indicators that were identified by our staff as really important elements of our work that fall within the 4 quadrants of a balanced scorecard. So this balanced scorecard is made up of key performance indicators in the financial realm, the customer service and satisfaction realm, operational, which is quality, efficiency, and safety of the work that we do, and then people and culture and how the staff within the health department are engaged in the work that they're doing. So these items were again selected by staff within the health department and identified as really important indicators of our overall strength and health of the agency. We took this before the Board of Health in January, and they prioritized what they thought based on the data points, the baseline data points, and the topics of concern. They prioritized what they thought the health department needed to focus on for the next 3-year strategic plan. And so those items you see are highlighted on the balanced scorecard. And so that then resulted in the strategic plan. So we have 4 main goals that we'll be working on. The first is strengthening the financial health and sustainability of Lewis and Clark Public Health. The second goal is delivering exceptional customer service across all public health services. The third is strengthening operational excellence to support high-quality public health services. And the fourth is fostering an engaged, supported, and high-performing public health workforce. The staff then took these broad goals and broke them into measurable objectives and activities for just the first year of the strategic plan. And the reason we chose to only flesh out the activities of the first year is because life in public health can be a little volatile. And the last I checked, I haven't been able to figure out how to see around all the corners. And so it was at the advice of the Board of Health and also the direction of the staff that we take our strategic plan 1 year at a time. And so the meat of the plan is then fleshed out for the first year. We have, for our financial goal, an objective to reduce the average insurance payment posting to 2 days or less. And so this financial goal essentially helps us get to a point where we're bringing in insurance revenue on a more consistent and steady basis for the work that we're able to bill both private and public insurance for. The second goal around customer service, our measurable objective is increasing the percentage of customers that agree or strongly agree with the statement that overall they're satisfied with the services that they received. And so we have a dedicated effort this first year to pilot a new customer satisfaction plan where we have customers within this community that are participating in the development of the customer satisfaction questions. They are helping us determine the best channels to get those questions out and collect the data. The customers, the people in this community will also help us to analyze the feedback once we've collected it and to help us build out an action plan for improvement. And so that is different than the way we have done customer satisfaction in the past, in that we are involving the customer from the very beginning all the way through to the end of action planning on improvement for customer satisfaction. That third goal, which is all about our operational excellence, we have 3 objectives. The first of which is improving or increasing the participation in our WIC program, our Women, Infant, and Children program. The second objective is increasing the number of children receiving capillary blood lead level testing. This is work that is really dedicated to the East Helena area because of the Superfund site and their exposure to lead in the soil. It does extend beyond into the broader community as well, but the primary audience are those the kiddos that are living within the East Helena Superfund boundary. The third objective is increasing the number of rural outreach events in this year. We focused on this primarily because we recognize that reaching the edges of our county with public health services needs to be a priority. And the Board of Health has agreed with that and is really supporting our efforts to take public health services and the resources that we have and do everything that we can to reach residents that live in all areas of our county. And then the final goal around high-performing public health workforce, we have an objective to increase the percentage of employee satisfaction that report 80% or more satisfaction on our employee engagement survey. And so essentially, that's the work that you'll see the health department really strategically focus on in this year. Of course, our regular everyday public health work will continue. The idea behind this particular strategic plan and the focus of the balanced scorecard is to ensure that the agency is strong and healthy and can absolutely do the public health work that needs to be done in the community. What questions can I answer for you?
Any questions from the commission? Any questions from the commission? You know, just this scorecard idea that you've got, I think, gives you some things to work on and focuses on places where it's going well, and gives you an opportunity to measure how you're moving around along for the folks that we're serving. So I think it's a real positive thing. Anything else? Thank you.
I'll just give Mr. Chair just a little kudos before you go. I think I mentioned this to you before, but I'll say it publicly that your staff that presents before us, they are some of the best prepared and most communicative. Everybody does a great job, but they reach out ahead, got something on the agenda. Do you have any questions? And then well prepared for questions and that explanation ahead of time, because I'm usually asking questions like, well, explain that to the public. And a lot of times they do it before I get the chance to have questions. So Sarah Sandow and Fred, they do a great job. So your staff's well prepared, and I just appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'll pass that kudos along.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Public Works and Planning, Jenny.
Good morning, Chair, Rolf, Commissioners. For the record, my name is Jenny Chambers, Lewis Clark County Public Works and Planning Department Director. I'm just going to highlight a few things over the last several months and quarter that we've completed and some ongoing projects. One that has been recently completed is a joint City of Helena County infrastructure study on the county's website. It is listed on the county's website, and on there is existing conditions report and alternatives. There's also cost estimates and then also future conditions report for the urbanized standards boundary that surrounds the City of Helena that's in the county area. You also heard a presentation at the April Joint Commission meeting, and now since that plan has been finalized, we can start looking at how we can utilize that plan, talking with the city Public Works, Transportation, and Planning Office on what that means moving forward. So as we continue to have development in around the city, and also implementing of our zoning regulations. We can partner on what that means and how we can implement outcomes and future development of the joint city Helena County infrastructure study report. In planning, we also completed the text amendments that were completed as part of this Part 1 Special Zoning District number 43. And now we are currently working on assigning additional Part 1 Special Zoning Districts to evaluate and propose text amendments to integrate with our updated growth policy. So it's going to be an ongoing effort over the next several years to start pick off and look at those Part 1 Special Zoning Districts and update them as needed across the county. We've also seen an increase in pre-application meetings for conditional use permits. And also, since the Part 2 zoning regulations were in place, we've had 2 pre-application meetings for plan developments. The first time we've actually had pre-application meetings for plan developments within the county. So we're starting to have those conversations with folks that are interested in developing their property and working on the different alternatives they can for the Part 2 zoning requirements. We've also had a little bit of movements on some of the subdivision reviews and inquiries. So things are starting to pick back up as far as with development within the county. In Public Works, we recently completed the Craig River Bridge to fix the settling and approach slabs. That was very successful. We had a little bit of a couple delays with weather, but we were able to get that bridge work done within the 3-week period of time and open that bridge upon that closure. So we didn't have to extend the time that that bridge was closed. And we get some good feedback from the community members as far as our public outreach and just the conversations and communications we've had with them on the level of work that was needed for that Craig River Bridge. Also, as you heard today on a couple of the bid openings, just the efforts that it takes to do the procurement and solicitation for all of those bids. When Dan's up here presenting or Audra, when they're opening those bids, it's a very short period of time, but there's a lot of preparation work that goes into that. Dan brought up the scrub sale bid and it showed the miles of road that were estimated. All that work is the pre-work that comes into to get those procurements and those bids out of the way. So we completed those for the summer work to do paint striping, crack, chip, asphalt overlays, and scrub seals. The paint striping bid was done, and that work's also already been completed for this summer. So we're well ahead of things there as well. On the buildings and facilities front, if you get a chance to go look at the courthouse roof replacement project started April 13th. If you think about how to do a roof repair on a historical building and how high the courthouse is, it's a pretty impressive task that those guys are working on, the contractors that we've selected for that project. In addition, by the end of June, there will be bulletproofing installed, an auto lockdown system at the Clerk of Courts work area. So we're installing bulletproof glass on the door front for Lisa Callio's group, as well as an anti-lock button that they can hit so they don't have to jump over the counter to lock that door in case of a security or a lockdown situation. They can hit a button behind the counter. It'll automatically shut the door and lock it for them. So that should be done by the end of June for the courthouse. And then this summer, we're working on a courthouse sidewalk replacement project. And also this month, we're going to advertise for the courthouse elevator design build contractor. So a lot of work going on in buildings, facilities. And then also just on upcoming season, we're continuing to track and review applications for floodplain permits, approach and excavation permits, working with the contractor to do mosquito abatement and monitoring, and also working on hiring our seasonal staff for noxious weed spraying and landfill hydroseeding projects. So a lot of work just within Public Works as general. Some ongoing efforts that are kind of longer term are things that we're working on is to review and continue to engage with the metropolitan planning area on the long range transportation plan and efforts. In May, the agencies are getting together to review the project recommendations based upon public comment and a compilation of those different recommendations that will then go out to public for public engagement on the long range transportation plan and transportation needs. We're also finalizing the contract and task order for the consultants' assistance to implement the municipal separate storm sewer system. We anticipate this fall getting the formal letter from Department of Environmental Quality naming Lewis and Clark County as requirements to comply with the Montana Pollutant Discharge Elimination System MS4 permit program. And as you heard from today from Pam, we're working hard with the Unionville School, Unionville Collaborative, Unionville Community Collective nonprofit organization to turn over and transfer the Unionville School with documents to them. And we actually have a meeting this week to hopefully finalize those documents with them. And then in the special districts front, Jessica and her staff have been very busy with just continuing to review maintenance activities needed in the RIDs, 149 or 47 RIDs across the county. They're working with public meetings on levying assessments on increases, decrease of maintenance, and all those efforts there. She's also helping a couple of the fire districts on some of their rate resolutions that they need within the area as well. So outreach efforts there. In closing, I wanted to share with you the dashboard for our newly implemented citizen portal, but the computer just shut down again and timed out. So if you give me a second, I'll try to get it loaded here really quickly.
Mr. Chair, just while she's doing that, just
Go ahead.
once again, an example of a department that doesn't have much going on, or a couple of departments that don't have much. They're so busy. Thank you.
That's right.
It's amazing how much we do.
I drove by the courthouse yesterday and there was a blue man lift. There were people up on top of that very tall historic building. And as I drove by, I'm just thinking, that's a scary place to be, but I'm so glad we can make the effort, try to keep it appropriately protected, and
You bet.
but it's nice to see that work being done.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Payne, appreciate that. We're also trying to solve the water leakage area from the roof that goes down the side of the building into Judge Seeley's chambers area. That's been an ongoing effort for the last 6 years. So keep your fingers crossed that the replacement of the roof, the fixing of the gutter system, and keeping it preserved with the copper gutter is going to help solve that problem, but also aesthetically continue to make, keep the courthouse as beautiful as we possibly can from the historical nature. So appreciate that. So up now is the dashboard. We just implemented this in December. If you guys recall, this is a citizen portal, which is on our website, and we've been providing it at government days and to the community to say, if you want to contact us by phone and the way you usually typically did, that's fine. But if you wanted to go and report to this portal, we are tracking those type of reports we're getting, and then they have a recurring update on how they were submitted or how things have been completed. So since December, we've had 93 submittals, which doesn't seem like a lot, but if you think about the efficiency and effectiveness of this, it's saving some time for us not having to stop, pick up that phone. We get in here on a daily basis in the morning, update these recommendations, make phone calls when it's convenient for the staff to make those calls, and get back to folks based upon their concerns. So you can click on each kind of month and kind of get the different statistics on the dashboard. So December, there was 37. Majority of those were road related and snow and ice. And then February, let's say 46, you could imagine that would be snow and ice and road related. But if you get to May, again, a lot of the road items, we also have other categories that we can refer to other departments in the county if needed. We got one for the fairgrounds that we sent over to Kevin Tenney to help respond to, and then a couple for public health on some of the environmental land use concerns. And it kind of highlights, what the particular topic is. If you click on one that was just recently submitted, so this is a road and of course a pothole this time of year, it takes you to the map location. And it says the potholes in the middle of the road, as vehicles continue to hit, it makes it larger it gets. So it was received on I think that's Monday last week. And then staff will review that and say it's in progress or completed. As you can see, the majority of these have been completed. Doesn't actually mean that the work was completed, but we were received and then it got added to our workload in order to get that pothole replaced. Because otherwise the map gets pretty daunting if we leave all these kind of hanging out there just upon the number of submittals. Another one that was recently committed was the gal was asking a question of when the road was going to get graded. To let her know, it provided her name and information. It was assigned to Conrad. Conrad got back to him within 1 day, informed her of the schedule, and that make sure she was aware that it was still on the list. And it just thanked her for her time and for writing that comment. So it's a good way to track. It keeps a good record of it. If somebody in that area wanted to see if that pothole was already reported, they could go to this portal and see that the county's already well that pothole is reported, and we don't have to get 10 phone calls for the same pothole to indicate that it was reported. So it's just been a good, really good tool. The staff have really embraced it, and we are still calling folks back and getting updates to them with the phone numbers if they provide it, and then providing an update here as well for other neighbors in the area that might be interested in what the activity is. So
You just refresh us on how a person gets into that website, or to get into the spot on the website.
yeah, Mr. Chair. So if you just go to Lewis and Clark County website, you can get it multiple locations. We just go to the home page. Just down on the bottom, it's got this little tab that says report it. It's also on the public works page. It's also got report it as well, but you just click it. It brings up a screen. It just says, it's, please be aware that if it's a non-emergency problem, please let us know. If it's an emergency, stop sign down or a tree in the middle of the road, just call 911 and they'll dispatch our on-call folks to take care of that. You continue. We just remind folks that this is for Lewis and Clark County, but if you did want to report something for the city of Helena or the city of East Helena, they could click here as well. And then they just say, okay. And then that brings you up to the map. And you just indicate that you wanted to select a location and you just submit a request. And then it gets uploaded to the county for us to review.
Wonderful, wonderful. The other thing that I just am continually pleased with is the use of the long-term planning, long-term budgeting, the CIP program so effectively used in your department for some time, and I think that really it's amazing. We made major purchase of the I call them road graders, motor patrols. This year, and all planned for. The money's there, no problems. So,
yep. Thank you, Chair. Appreciate that. We'll talk more about that next week during our budget hearings.
That's right. Thank you. Anything else? All right. I don't see anybody from Fairgrounds or Finance, but let's go on to Emergency Management.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. My name is Kyle Sturgill-Simon, Emergency Management for Lewis and Clark County. By request of the Chair, I'm just taking today's opportunity to talk about emergency and disaster declarations a little bit, what they are, how we do them, and why. And we'll just get right into it. Do not be alarmed by the slides. It is a lot of Montana code annotated, but I do not intend to read it to you directly. What is a local emergency declaration? When we use the word emergency, that means a lot of things to a lot of different people. But for us, it's just the imminent threat of a disaster that's going to cause damage to people or property, but it's something that we can do something about. So usually that means we have the resources to address it, or if we get some more resources, we can usually get after it pretty well. So that's what emergency means to us. We do emergency declarations. We've done them a couple of different ways. Normally, in the past, we've done them with a resolution from the county commissioners. There's also an option in there to do it as an order. So it can only be issued by the principal executive officer for the political subdivision. In the county's case, that's the chair of the commission. For the city, it would be the mayor. The governor has a separate set of MCA with slightly different rules, but kind of the same gist there. And the function of it is to say that there is something known that is going to impact people or property in the county, and that we need to do something about it. And that's an emergency declaration. A disaster declaration usually follows after an emergency declaration. Sometimes they just go straight into a disaster declaration. That means that we've actually had something, or we're really, really sure that it's about to happen. That's going to be widespread damage, injury, loss of life, or damage to property. There's a long list there of all the things that can constitute a natural or artificial disaster, but the most common ones for us are windstorms, snowstorms, floods, earthquakes, and fires. As you can see, it is quite a long list, and we do keep an eye out for all of those things. And an emergency declaration, if the county were to order an emergency declaration, they end when the threat is gone or we move into doing a disaster declaration like this. Going a little bit fast, so feel free to stop me for any questions if you have any. So those are the two legal definitions for an emergency deck, as we call them, or a disaster deck. What goes into them? So you've seen them before. They have a lot of whereas statements where we have to say what is the nature of the emergency or the disaster. Oftentimes that's a known fire or rising water in a certain area due to a certain stream or river, things along those lines. We have to define the area that's being threatened. Very rarely do we say that this is a county-wide disaster. We normally define the geographic area that is being impacted. And then the conditions. You'll often see that with our fire declarations, where we're talking about what has brought about extreme fire weather behavior, drought, things along those lines that has to be described. And then these orders need to be disseminated promptly. Our county communications coordinator assists us with getting this out to a broad audience. And then they have to be filed promptly with the division. And the division in this case is the Montana Disaster and Emergency Services Division. So we take a copy of the signed order and we send it to them as soon as possible so that they're aware of what is going on with us. That actually initiates a long process for emergency management where we're sending them status updates of what's going on, any resource needs, things along those lines. The other bit to the order, the effects of that is it activates applicable parts of our local emergency operations plan, and it also authorizes furnishing of aid and assistance. So that line there, the emergency operations plan is a hefty document that describes all of our agency partners, who has authorities to do what during times of emergency or disaster, and how everybody works together on those. And doing an emergency order or a disaster order basically activates that plan. It gives us the go-ahead to open up our emergency operations center, start requesting aid, things along those lines. The top bit here says emergency powers. We don't normally describe them as such, but it is defined here. The authority of the principal executive officer, again, the chair of the commission or the mayor for a city. And this is contingent upon declaration of an emergency or a disaster. And this is where you see things like evacuation orders. Controlling ingress and egress. So that's keeping people from leaving an area or keeping people from going into an area. And then movement of persons within the area. And we usually describe that as a shelter in place order. That's when we know the conditions outside are harmful and dangerous to the population. We haven't had one here in a bit, but one that comes to mind up on the High Line. Sometimes they do a shelter in place order because they don't have enough emergency response crews to respond to the number of vehicle wrecks they have due to a snowstorm or something along those lines. So they say, hey, everybody, hold tight for a little bit because we can't respond to the number of 911 calls we're getting. And then the last bit there is a little bit about wildfire. So when we do rather extreme fire restrictions, stage 2 actually puts restrictions on what people can or cannot do out in the wilderness in terms of fire starts. And part of that authority comes from this section after an emergency or a disaster declaration. Got ahead of my notes here. So what that looks like for us in emergency management, all the time, we're operating under a watch sort of situation, situational awareness. We're keeping an eye on the weather. Our national weather partners send us updates about anything that they're concerned about all the time. Our floodplain manager, Warby McNamee, gives us updates on flood gauges that might be showing something that we need to get ahead of in terms of flooding for certain areas. And then our agency partners are the eyes and ears of the whole county. And so they're letting us know if there's anything that's occurring that we should worry about. And we're also kind of monitoring, so we'll check in with them. It's pretty common for us to call a local fire chief and say, hey, is everything, we heard something might be going on, and they let us know what's going on. We start that situational awareness, or we're always in situational awareness status. If something does look like it warrants getting into that emergency declaration area, this is when we'll present that information to the chair and the commission. Here's what we're hearing about. Here's what we're doing about it. Here's what we might need. And then we're also updating other agency partners that may not know about the situation that's going on. Flooding impacts transportation, irrigation, school districts, a lot of different facets of our community. And then if after recommendation of that emergency order or disaster order does get signed and goes through, we file that with the Montana Disaster Emergency Services. A great example of that was the December 17th windstorm. We did do an emergency declaration. Resources were basically hard pressed to respond to all the calls we had for down power lines, obstructions in the roadway, damage to private property. We had several communities that were without power for 4 to 5 days. We did not go into a disaster declaration for that, but a lot of the state did. And so the state immediately knew what our situation was. If we needed anything, we were in communication with them back and forth through that whole event, and the emergency declaration was part of that process. Once that is filed, or once that is, we've got a signature on paper, we are engaging with agency partners. Some of those partners are exercising some of those emergency powers. A previous slide talked about evacuations, and the sheriff's office manages evacuations in the county per the emergency operations plan. We assist with anything they might need for that. Providing assistance to community efforts. That's where COAD comes into play. That's the Community Organizations Active in Disaster. They're pretty involved all the time with a whole variety of different incidents, but once it gets to the level of saying this is an emergency or a disaster, they activate quite a few more of their membership, and we work with them very closely. And then they come and help us out at the Emergency Operations Center, helping with mutual aid, resource requests, logistics for the incident response, things along those lines. So, yeah.
Any questions from the committee? Thank you. Appreciate you being there and being on top of that. Appreciate all the prior planning you're doing and the work that's being done with some of the groups around the county to make sure that we are ready when and if something does happen. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, let's go on to grants and procurement. And McCauley.
Move that down. Good morning again, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, Ann McCauley, Director of Grants and Procurement. The last 3 months has been high volume of activity and significant progress within our department. On the procurement front, there was a coordination of 4 major concurrent solicitations in February and March, all of which successfully advanced to contract negotiation and execution this past month. There was a strong demonstration of coordination and staff capacity with 4 different departments on those solicitations, as well as some outside partners. So kudos to our procurement officer, Casey Hayes, in managing those. There's been a steady workload of contracts and contract cover sheets that have also come through our office, 26 total for the last 3 months, while continuing to support multiple county departments on active projects, reviewing of contracts, making sure that our I's are dotted and our T's are crossed. We've also are working on some procurement processes that will include electronic submissions of requests for proposals or requests for qualifications. As I think I've noted, we've had some issues with our postal service and delivery dates. And when information is received here on its last day, just some slowdown within our USPS system. We want to see where we can help that on our end. And also working on some contract language with our legal team. On the grants front, we've had some major community development block grant projects this past year. Our notable one for public facilities is the Craig County Water and Sewer District's Barn Lanes project. I'm happy to report out that that project is going well. This is to take the septic systems that are along Barnes Lane, the 14 properties, off of those systems, tie them into the main sewer district's system. That work is almost completed. We're finishing that out probably in the next month or two. We're at a fortunate position that the bid came in considerably under the estimate on this project. So there's some additional grant funds, our CDBG funding, and then 2 other state grants that the district has received directly. So we're working with the district and their lead engineering team on finding allowable costs so we can continue to do good work with those grant funds for the district. What that might mean, though, is some formal amendments coming forward. We're going to be meeting later this week, so you might see those. But the good news is that we can get more work done. We've also kicked off the CDBG planning project in Lincoln, of which you heard the award today. That, again, is to do a PAR and grant application for public facilities grant, which will be opening likely in October of this year. That would be for implementation and construction work. And most recently, the Holter Museum of Art has reached out about potential sponsorship for a community development block grant economic development sponsorship. The economic development program is specifically for job creation or retention. They have 8 FTE that would be retained through this project. And the main goal of the project is to replace the roof that is aging and deteriorating. For an organization like the Holter, their building is everything, and maintaining their artwork, all of their assets, as well as the programming that they do out of the Holter is pretty critical. They've submitted a sponsorship pre-application form. Our process is to bring that before either, in the situation, the county or the city, because we could both be sponsors on a project that's within city limits. So I'll be reviewing that pre-sponsorship form with my city counterparts this week. And if we deem it viable, then that might be coming before you for consideration in mid-June. Those are rolling basis applications. On the ARPA front, the ARPA program is entering its final implementation phase. This is kind of wild for me to report this out, but we have less than $500,000 remaining in that balance to spend between now and the end of the year, looking for fall of 2026, actually, to have those completely expended. You'll be seeing that next week in my budget presentation, but actuals were $7-8 million for a couple of years now, and now this coming year it's going to be under $400,000. We've gone from open grants from 7 to 5 in the last couple of weeks, including some pretty big projects with Public Works that are wrapped up, and we will see our final subrecipient agreement with Eastgate closing out probably here in June. Opioid settlement funding. So Eliza Fiaschetti serves as our county liaison to the Lewis and Clark Metro Region Opioid Abatement Committee. This is for the Montana Opioid Abatement Trust Funds. They met in March. They had a number of applications, the request of over $890,000 for those funds. Unfortunately, there wasn't enough funding available. Only about $470,000 was available to award. But I think it just speaks strongly to our high community need and engagement in addressing the opioid pandemic. On the department level, working with finance and partners on FY27 budget and continued staff professional training. Casey's taken a number of courses this year related to contract management, some more advanced procurement strategies and ideas through the National Procurement Association that he's part of. Eliza engaged in a ARPA closeout training that National Grant Management Association put on a few weeks ago. And then we'll be doing a sub-award management training here later this week. Department efforts remain focused on procurement efficiency, grant implementation and compliance, and cross-department collaboration. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Just really appreciate the detail of which you and your staff approached this, trying to save money for the county and make sure that we're doing things in an appropriate manner. And I think that one of the crowning achievements has been the work on the ARPA funding, where we had so many rules and regulations and timing situations to deal with, and I would doubt that there's any county in the country that was as successful in using the ARPA money as we were, and a lot of that's because of what you and your staff have done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate that, and I'll pass that on.
Mr. Chair, and I was just curious about the CDBG funding. Are there any open projects with the city and county right now, and where are they in status? Do you know?
Yes, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Hunthausen, we do have an open CDBG economic development.
Okay.
And we do have a CDBG housing slot available.
Mm-hmm. But do we have any current projects in progress right now?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that question?
I'm sorry. Do we have any current projects in process right now that are out there? The grants have come and they're out putting a new roof on, or whatever. Did you?
So our planning project is with our slot right now is filled with the Lincoln project,
Okay.
and then the Craig Water Sewer District with our public facilities.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. And
then
city have any?
The city has a planning project that's currently being done, and I think they do have a public facilities slot, but they have a request to sponsor a program for this fall.
Great. Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And our intention, our hope is that that Craig project will be finished in time for us to apply for a public facilities grant for Lincoln in the fall.
Yeah. Good. Okay.
Yeah. So to remind the commission and viewers, local government is recommended. There is an exception. We can ask for a waiver to this, but that we only have one open application, an ongoing project within each of the 4 CDBG program buckets at a time. And so we do have to be pretty strategic with our partners at the city as we're bringing those on. A public facilities grant can take 2 to 3 years. And so we want to make sure we're lining those up appropriately.
Yeah. Thanks for explaining that.
Yeah. And that partnership with the city is really critical, especially when we can both be an applicant.
That's what I was thinking as I was asking the question, but you explained it well. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions? Thank you, Ann. Information technology systems, James.
Morning, Chairman, Commissioners. James Thomas, City and County IT Director. On a staffing front, I'm happy to report for the first time, we are actually fully staffed. We're up to a staff of 15. The changes we've gone through on the staffing, our security specialist position was filled by an internal candidate. Dylan Newmiller from our help desk team accepted that position, which made a vacancy on the help desk team. Zach Gravely is our newest help desk team member. And our toughest position to fill was our technical implementation manager, or TIM, which is our project type person, was just filled yesterday. Well, it was filled a little while ago, but our person started yesterday. Candace Griffin, she actually showed up for work, so we're really excited. She showed up a second day today, so we are even more excited. But anyway, we can get started on some project planning efforts with some different departments. So staffing wise, we're pretty excited to get moving. After action reports, we did file one for this quarter. We had a 45-minute outage to just the city county building. This was basically the net effect of a security update that we did to our main firewalls. Since what we have across the organization are distributed firewalls, The only effect was just to the main firewalls in this building. Smaller effect, which was kind of nice. We didn't take down the whole organization. We worked with our vendor and we updated our procedures so that this shouldn't happen a second time. Our on-call phone provides the 24-hour service. We've dropped back to our average 10 calls. February, we did see a spike. During February, we ran about 24 calls just for February. We kind of did a review and assessment of the 24 calls and nothing really noteworthy. There were just a lot of things happening and we had a lot of password resets and a lot of account lockouts during that period for some reason. On to our tasks. Something I've reported on for a couple of years now is our major network modernization project. We are done with phase one. Our phase two, which is inside the buildings, we're really on a status quo on that one. We've just got a few old devices that are kind of hanging around. We're working with some partners to get those replaced. Phase three is our wireless project. That one's gotten some delays into that project. We've just hit some bumps in the road that have slowed us down. We hope to get that phase moving again here very soon, and we're looking for completion around midsummer, mid to late summer. Give it a little bit. I usually report on our security awareness training. We're seeing some good results. That training officially ended on April 17th for the first quarter. We always let those run extra time just to catch up the people that are a little late getting it done, but running an extra 4 weeks, we did finally reach 94% completion, which is pretty good. That's generally about what we see. The next run of training is going to start here on June 16th. And we generally run those for 4 weeks, and then we customarily let them run for a little extra time. We've got a couple new projects. The replacement phone system. You saw that contract just a number of weeks ago. Our replacement hardware has already arrived. It's on site. And the team, vendor and our internal team have worked together and they have developed a 4-phase rollout schedule. And it looks pretty ambitious, but it looks like it's achievable. They've kind of, excuse me, they've broken it out and they're going to be looking to provide a couple levels of training. So to a lot of departments that are going to manage like a call tree, you know, press 1 if you'd like admin, press 2 if you'd like to pay your ticket, things like that. They're going to provide some admin training so that the departments can actually manage that call tree. And then they're going to be setting up multiple levels of end user training so that people are comfortable with the new phones. So the new phones look a little different than what has been on the desk for years and years. They're a little more modern, but we'll make sure people are used to how they work. The goal right now, according to their rollout schedule, is that phone system is going to be completely deployed across the whole organization by July 14th. So fairly quick moving project. Another project that I'm happy to report we've gotten complete is the jail video system. We stepped in and helped the facilities department, county facilities, and the detention center with updating and getting some of their camera system for the detention center online and in a mode where it can be archived so they have multiple copies of videos. That is fully operational right now. So we've gotten that completed. We feel comfortable that the cameras are all online. We check them on a weekly basis now with the detention center to make sure they're aware that it's online and working and that the video archiving is up to date. So it stays within about 8 minutes of real-time video. So things look pretty good. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Any questions for James? You know, you constantly seem to get things done under budget and with high satisfaction levels. That's pretty hard to do in your business.
I can't take all the credit. I've got a great staff that keep us going.
Thank you. Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Anything else from the commission? All right, let's go on to Human Services. Carrie.
think it's still morning. Good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. For the record, my name is Carrie DeRozier, Human Resources Director with the county. We've been really busy on the recruitment function. We're down to 9 recruitments, so those are basically online. We're accepting applications for those. We have 3 others that they're either scoring them or in the interview or reference check phase, and we have one that needs to be posted, but they're not ready to post it yet, but we'll be working on that soon. Not even 2 weeks ago, we had 14 that we were recruiting online, so we've been busily hiring good candidates that we're finding, so that's progress. In April, we had 11 new hires and unfortunately 10 terminations, so we're at least 1 ahead of the game there. Right now, we're currently negotiating a collective bargaining agreement with the laborers union. And we are also in negotiations again with the Sheriff's Association. We agreed as part of getting through the agreement process that we just settled in February, as part of not determining or coming to agreement for the second year of that contract, that we would do a wage opener instead of continuing to try to negotiate future things where we didn't know the conditions, COLA, all those other things, revenue. So we're doing a wage opener for the Sheriff's Association. We don't have any complaints or investigations that we're working on right now, which is really positive. Christine has been really busy in payroll, working on hiring and terming people, helping with the onboarding process. Brandy's also been busy helping with our onboarding process and doing orientations for new employees. We just started our annual open enrollment process, which was something I had to take on since we're missing our Emily, but we got that kicked off on time. We're still working through some of that as far as working with the other groups on our plan and getting all their materials and taking all their questions as well. And just a reminder, employees have until June 15th to make elections for next plan year. In benefits, we continue to keep a close eye on health plan expenses. Our claims paid this plan year to date have totaled just over $9.5 million compared to $9.6 million for the same time frame last year. Actually, I think I have those numbers reversed because we are actually slightly lower than last year at this time, which is really positive by just under about $100,000. And then we have, I usually average out the claims per week average, and we are just above where we were last year at this time. We've met our stop loss aggregate deductible at this point in the year, and we've received over $900,000 in reinsurance reimbursements. Last plan year, we had received for the total year just over $1.2 million. So we're slightly under that number now, but we still have a month and a half to go. We've also received over $500,000 in medical and prescription drug rebates. So that's a pretty good number there. Prism, the consulting company we use to help with our pharmacy program, has been really positive and working with Navitus, our PBM, in auditing our pharmacy rebates each year, and with Allegiance on our medical rebates to us. So that's been a really positive relationship. And then with our 340B drug rebate program or drug program, we've saved over $66,000 that we can track easily. For part of the year, they are actually processed through Navitus, but then through some legislative factors, we had to move them outside of our plan again and are just invoicing directly with the 340B provider. So it's easier to monitor those, but we've had almost $66,000 in savings so far. We're in our 4th month of the continuous wellness program. Emily was part of that, where we worked with Wellable to basically have a month of wellness programming done for the entire year. And we're getting really good engagement and participation in that. This month's focus is on like self-care activities. Well, it's really holistic wellness, taking care of yourself as a whole. And some of the program focus has been on, let's see, it's on self-care activities, and then the special activities are on mental health and resilience, building resilience. Safety, we adopted the hazard communication policy. So Kenny's been busy coordinating with departments on identifying the hazard communication officers, as well as coordinating training for the departments. We also made the hazard communication policy as part of our training for the HR talks that we did. And I think it was February. And then we've also conducted some other trainings that the sheriff's office has requested for their leadership and supervisors. We've done training on critical conversations, discrimination and harassment, and then general HR compliance for new supervisors, so they're more familiar with FMLA, ADA, documentation, discipline, and all those things. So other items that we're working on and continue to work on, policy revisions to our pay plan, a lot of safety work, including training and policy development, reducing workers' comp claims. And then we'll be putting together all of the work necessary to implement cost of living adjustments shortly. Continue training leadership on the front and training for supervisors, and really working with departments on their onboarding process, because it's really important that employees get off on a good start. And then continue monitoring and doing what we can with health plan. So if you have any questions.
Questions from the
Mr.
commission?
Chair. Gary, thank you. You guys aren't very busy either, it looks like. Not much going on. My goodness. No, thanks so much for all the great work. I was just curious about our I don't know the exact term, but I'll call it, and you may not know this off the top of your head, but our preferred provider for primary care program. Do we have a pretty good participation rate in that from our?
For our, with Peerview?
Yeah, for that primary care aspect.
I don't know the percentage right now. It's not as high as we would think it would be. I don't know the percentage though, but I believe it's under 30% of our plan members.
Because that is an excellent benefit.
Yeah, we will be focusing this year on our health plan and educating people, sending information out about Healthcare Blue Book, how to utilize that, using the mobile app, and then educating people on our preferred provider benefit as well.
And the 340B program may be underutilized as well, is that?
We're working pretty hard on that. So PRISM gives us a list of eligible members each quarter, and we reach out to each one of those and say, hey, you're eligible for this. You're going to be getting a call from Peerview, and this is why you're getting a call, and it can help our health plan. And then Peerview reaches out, educates them on the program, and then hopefully moves them over from their pharmacy to the 340B pharmacy. So we do kind of some front end footwork on that to try to get that movement.
Great, good. No, that just good programs, and I really appreciate all the work you guys have done to set that up. And thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Anything else? All right, Roger, do you have kind of a wrap up on our departments that you'd like to add?
Thank you, commissioners, and thanks to all of our department directors. We're very busy around the organization as always, and we're excited and pleased that we'll be jumping into all the budget meetings that begin next week. May and June are all about the budget, as you know, commissioners, for us. Actually, we start today. Later today, starting at 3 o'clock, we have the joint work session with the City of Helena regarding joint budgets, so that's coming up starting today. But like I say, May and June will be all about budget workforce, particularly the next 2 to 3 weeks. There will be a lot of, not intensity, but just a lot of presentations that you'll be hearing from all the departments and all the elected officials that you have budget authority over. So that's coming up. But thank you. Again, glad to answer any questions, but thanks, commissioners.
Is there anything else? Well, we always end our meetings with an opportunity for the public to make a comment on anything that's under the jurisdiction of the county commission, but not on today's agenda. So I will offer once more that opportunity. Is there any public comment? Is there any public comment?
Mr. Chair, I didn't really have public comment, but I did just want to say I'm just so super proud of our team and all the great work we do. And I should have said that a minute ago, but we just have wonderful people doing wonderful things, and just really proud of our county and the people we have on staff, and so many of them represented here right now. Thank you all.
That's so true. I can't imagine putting together 400 better people than we've got right here. Thank you. If there's no public comment, we're adjourned.